My name is Teddy Smiles, and this is the No Sugar, No Cream podcast. I'm guest starring here on the most amazing podcast in the world by guest of Tim, who, as you can see, is super excited to have me here.
Oh, welcome. What was your name again? Teddy?
Teddy Smiles.
Teddy Smiles. You smile all the
I
time?
might have just changed my name on accident. Was it Teddy Smiles? Let's just not do that. If I can't even get my name right. Teddy. Was it Teddy Smiles? Was it?
Rule number one, when you're creating characters,
remember your name.
remember the name of the character.
Man, I would be a horrible CIA agent. I'd get killed every time. What's your name? Good question. Let me check my secret spy book. Make sure I'm saying that correctly. Mr. Fish, no, Mr. Catfish. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to be back. It is Tuesday. We're early. Surprise. We try to go live by 5 o'clock, and we are here, and we are live, and we are excited to bring you another podcast. Had a great weekend. Went and saw the Celtics play the weekend, and then the next day we went to
Graceland.
It's so funny. I saw in the news the president was there Monday at Graceland.
Really?
He was there just a couple days after we were there.
Well, you heard that we went.
He said, "Hey, is that No Sugar, No Cream was up there?" So I'm gonna go check out. That must be quite a so yeah. It was a really good time. I mean, sure, it was Graceland. We always make it back to the Celtics. But Graceland, I know Tim will want to put his input. I'll go ahead and start us off. We had a great time. The only big complaint was we had a long line getting back from Graceland back over to the main area. That was the only kind of annoying part. But they were really very busy. They were very busy. You really got to take your time if you wanted to. There was plenty of people in the house, and you were kind of like lined up in a way, but you could just hold back if you wanted to, or you could walk ahead of everybody if you wanted to. It was pretty amazing, and it was very much like a time capsule. Man, his just decor and everything was like so unique and everything. It looked so cool.
Very cool.
It's definitely worth it. It's like $85 to go to, and it is definitely worth the money. Definitely worth the money. The main house is amazing. He had a pool there. He had horses in the back there. They still have horses there. I think they were just they might have been.
Yeah, we didn't see any
We
horses.
didn't see the horses.
The horses are still there.
The horses are still
Because
there.
they have signs. Don't mess with the horses.
Mhm.
I remember what it was. So apparently, sometimes horses do come up to the fence when there are visitors because.
There was in the back there. It looks like where he had his an office and where he did his office stuff or met with people about business or whatever. And then next to there was kind of they had like a shooting range, but like I guess they stood back far away from the building and shot into it,
because it wasn't very big. It was a smokehouse. It wasn't that big. It was probably 5 feet by 10 feet or 8 feet. And not very big shooting range. You want to be further away. I mean,
you basically had to be back at the house to shoot from the house to shoot into there.
Well, depending on how far away.
Yeah, depending on what you were shooting, I guess you wanted to. Yeah, I guess. Some targets for like 15, 20 feet. Not usually, at least probably 15, 20 feet. See, me, I don't even know. I would love to go shoot a gun and get some experience that way. I would love to own a gun for protection and. I do. I mean, like, I have too bad of a shot. In fact, it was kind of random, but we did like a shooting. Well, I think we shot with like BB guns or whatever, and then we shot with bow. And I ended up winning. I had the best shot out of anybody at church camp. We were divided up into like you could pick your like little whatever you want to do, and I picked like shooting whatever. I was the best shot in that trophy for it or whatever. It's kind of random, but it's like pretty much in my blood.
Do you still have that trophy?
No, I don't even know if it was a trophy or a medal. I can't even remember. That was a long time ago. I was young. I was a little youngin.
Because you're so old now.
Oh,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yes, I can barely see.
So anyway, I was amazed and so happy we took the time to go there. I mean, I've been thinking about doing it. I've been living in Tennessee now, Nashville. The only place I've lived in Tennessee is Nashville. Moved here in 17, in the fall of 2017. So it's 9 years now. It'll be 9 years this fall, this October.
Oh my gosh.
8.5 years.
You have
I've
to
been
add 10
living
years to that. That's accurate.
here. And so, yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. We don't have to do the Seth rule, add 10 years. Oh, here's a comment. Oh, Lemon Lust asked if I like multi-scale fan fret guitars. You know, I've seen videos of those, and I have never played one. I have no experience with that. So I have to pass on that one. I'm intrigued by it because I know that the tuning on a regular fretted guitar is an approximation or what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, is not perfect, but you take the best average. So it's a word I'm looking for, but compromise. It's a compromise. So I do understand that and I do get frustrated sometimes when I'm playing a part and some of it has open strings and some of it has fretted strings. I may play. In fact, I did a part recently on my new album that a part of it used open strings, and I literally played that part separate, tuned it, and then played the open string part of the run of the intro because the tuning is different. It's a compromise, and so I'm assuming that those fan frets, multi-scale. I don't know the term, but I hope that the fan fret makes sense to me. I believe that's what, and I've even seen it where the fret isn't straight, like the G string has a little notch in it to make it so that it's more better than tempered tuning. I guess tempered tuning is the approximation, I think, compromise, but I'm not well informed, so I just have a vague understanding, and maybe once I tried it, I'd love it. But there's my answer to that. Sorry, I can't give you more specific information on that, on my experience anyway. But now I'm intrigued. Maybe I will look into it more. Anyway, talking about Graceland. Well, the name of Graceland learned. It's been called that since long before Elvis got it. And it was a property of about 400 acres that was owned by a family. There was nothing built there, and the matriarch of that family name was Grace, and everybody in the family called it Grace's Land, and gradually that became Graceland, and that's what it was called. And then they sold, anyway, gave a doctor got property, got some of it carved out and built a house around, I think it was 1940 maybe, and then, when Elvis was 24, either 22 or 24, early 20s, he bought the house from the doctor for $100,000 with only 1,000 down. That's 1%. How can you buy a house on 1% down? That was a amazing thing, and it's got a lot of acres, and it's a beautiful house. Of course, he was making a lot of money when he was in his 20s. He was a teen star, and he kept building onto it, and I was so amazed. I mean, I somehow had the idea that, Graceland had deteriorated and it was just, not worth going to, and the opposite it's the complete opposite of that. It's very well run. They have guides, they have it well oiled. They give you an iPad with instructions that knows where you are in the tour and starts up the part for that room that you're in, and you have headphones, you're listening. They don't charge extra for that. And then once you finish the tour of Graceland, you go across the street, and they have a whole complex that they built, huge, a lot more square footage than in Graceland Mansion. And you can see his car collection. And he was a big car guy. And one quote was on the wall. I loved it. Life is too short to drive a boring car. I love it. It's going to be my new motto. Life is too short to drive a boring car. Apparently that's an Elvis quote. And he was into a lot of things. I mean, I always loved his music, knew his music, but as a person, he was like a Renaissance man. He was into a lot of things. He was an early adopter of technology. I mean, he had a remote for his TV, which when he died in 1977, always had the TV on. He had 3 TVs in his living room. So he would love today. He'd probably have 20 TVs in his room that he could watch. And remote control, there wasn't such a thing in the 70s. But he had one, remote control to switch his TVs. And he was a quick adopter of things, and also read voraciously, loved to read. They said that he was reading all the time about all kinds of things, had an insatiable appetite for learning. And I just got a renewed appreciation for him. Inspired me. It really inspired me as an artist and a songwriter, and to learn a little bit more about him. And he wasn't perfect by any means. I mean, he did cheat on his wife a lot. I mean, when he was the rock star that he was, he had plenty of opportunities to exercise that, and he didn't have. He also had drug problems. When he died, there were like a dozen drugs in his system, and 10 of them at significant quantities. And
they were all prescribed, I think.
They were all prescribed. They're prescription drugs.
That's
sad that he left so early. And I was living in Rapid City, showing my age now. I was in college in my first year of college in 77, and summer after my first year. And I had a girlfriend then, named Cindy, and Elvis was coming to town. And she's the girl that I took the date to the first Star Wars, and she didn't like it. We didn't know it was going to be as big as it was. Anyway,
break up with her.
She obviously didn't last. But then the summer we were done. But anyway, she wanted to go see Elvis, and I wasn't interested in Elvis because by that time people were making fun of him. He was fat, and then he put on a lot of weight, and he was still wearing the same kind of stretchy uniform, and it didn't look good with him. He wore a big belt to cover up his belly. He still had the voice though, and I don't know. I just wasn't interested in going to see him, and I wish I would have. To this day, I regret not going because it was the second to the last show he ever did. After that, he went to Iowa. He did one more show in Iowa, then he went back home, and he died. He died in his house shortly after those 2 shows. And I could have seen his second to last show. I mean, the tickets were available. She went. I could have gone with my girlfriend at the time. So my regret that I didn't go.
Way too young.
Way too young. 42, right? 42. Yeah.
I thought for some reason I was thinking he was about 50. But no, 42.
42. Well, he did a lot of things, and
he had a full life.
He was really acted, but it's interesting to me. I mean, all his movies that he did, he never really acted. He always played himself. Correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Same as Keanu Reeves.
He always just always played himself in a version of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was literally Elvis in it. He was Elvis in it.
Bert Christian says, I can only think of Elvis and Michael Jackson who own such iconic houses. Anyone else?
Elvis and who?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Oh, word. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Yeah, I know. What
Neverland,
they turn that into a tour place?
Yeah. Is it a tour place? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think I think it's privately owned. I think they sold it to a private buyer. I know that would be amazing. Yeah. Oh
anyway, am I finished ranting about, or not ranting, but I'm just espousing on it. I mean, then went to see his collection of cars.
Neverland.
Neverland. I thought
you might have. I might have missed it. I might have missed you.
You never heard it.
Never heard it. Right.
So anyway, yeah. So I missed seeing him on tour, and that would have been amazing to see his second last show ever, and but I missed it, and because I just didn't. He was no longer relevant in 1977, so to speak. I mean, he was the punchline. Everybody, by that time, they were saying how Elvis was fat, and if you see pictures of him, he didn't really. It took. He had a. He did the first satellite live television of a live show. He did it from Aloha from Hawaii, and that was 1974. And he wasn't that. He hadn't put on that much weight in 74. So it was only the last 3 years that he put on weight, I wanna say. Because when he did Aloha from Hawaii, he wasn't that big. It was the first internationally televised live stream, and he did that. So, Aloha from Hawaii. Uh, did you catch that? They mentioned it in some of the
Yeah, he's had a big love. I didn't know about the whole
and then he also had a big
where
show
he
when he
loved
was wearing
Hawaii.
black in '67, I think, or '68, when he did that whole show and, kind of resurgence. Anyway, we were talking about acting. So he never really acted. He just played himself, and the movies were all considered B movies. I mean, they're not really great acting, great scripts. They're just kinda a vehicle for him to sing. Every one, he would pull out his guitar and sing a song, and he would sing to the love interest who that he was sharing this movie with. And compared to I was thinking about this, Frank Sinatra, who got into movies, but in a serious way. And what movie was that Frank Sinatra did? He actually won an Academy Award. It was a phenomenal acting. I mean, I'm just comparing and contrasting. They were somewhat contemporaries of each other. Uh, Sinatra really probably had training. He was a little older. He won an Oscar for From Here to Eternity, 1953. Frank Sinatra won a competitive Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor as Private Angelo Maggio from Here to Eternity, the 26th Academy Awards. This role revived his career following he got an honorary Oscar in 46, but he got a competitive Oscar. So, I mean, he was he was a great actor. I mean, that was, versus nobody nominated. Nobody talked about Elvis being nominated for an Academy Award
Right.
because,
Did he? You said he played himself. Did it go as far as? Do they call him Elvis?
Bert said got it, 68 Comeback Special. Yeah, that was when he wore all in black. That was an amazing show. Phenomenal. He was on point on that one. You're right. I knew it was somewhere in the late '60s. He was dashing. He was wearing all black. I think it was leather. Just looked great. But go ahead.
You know, I was just. Did they go by Elvis in the movies? Did
I
it go that far?
So.
Because that's extra cheesy. But if you're just playing yourself, like I mean, unless it's like a character that's a little weird. If you like, your name is your real name. In all the movies. They did mention that he had a twin that died at birth, who was born first, and they didn't realize that she had twins. It was pregnant with twins.
Okay, here's the answer. No, it didn't go that far. And I gotta admit that I've never seen any of his Elvis movies. I've just seen clips of them, and they all seem cheesy to me. So but it says here Elvis's characters in his 31 feature films were rarely named Elvis. He played various roles with different names, and here's some of them: Clint, Deke, Vince, Mike, Lucky Jackson, and so on. Although he rarely played Elvis, his movie roles were designed to showcase his persona as a singer and charming lead. So, he may not have been named Elvis, but he was basically playing himself
like you said,
with a different name. I think that's fair to say. I don't think it's unfair to his legacy to say that he was not playing roles that were not himself. Versus Frank Sinatra, I think was highly revered as an actor, just comparing and contrasting. Did Frank Sinatra have the impact on popular culture that Elvis did? No, I don't believe he did. So Elvis just wasn't the first rockabilly, but he basically, we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about rockabilly, which was a term that that Elvis, some of Elvis's music was called rockabilly, uh, but he was also a great crooner, and he was very the women. He was a great sex symbol.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, literally for a while there, at first, his singing and dancing were considered illegal. They even tried to shut him down at times, I think, right?
I misspoke. I misspoke. Not rock and roll. How could I say that? He was rock and roll, not rockabilly. Although he did do Blue Suede Shoes, which was considered a rockabilly song, uh, before. Um, yeah, okay. Key musical genres and styles: rock and roll, king of rock and roll. Rockabilly, his early '50s recordings at Sun Studio are considered quintessential rockabilly. So I wasn't wrong. Country and western, rhythm and blues, gospel. He did some gospel recordings and pop adult contemporary. Um, so he was rockabilly, uh, but they called him the king of rock and roll. That's what his nickname was. So anyway, I mean, he's been dead for almost 50
Late
years.
70s, right?
77.
77?
He's been dead for almost 50 years. It'll be 50 next year, and we're
Still
still going,
cruising around that UFO.
still being talked about, still impactful.
There was probably at least probably we I mean, we ran it there's people everywhere. I mean, 500 plus people when we were there.
Yeah,
Scattered
so
out
many people, and there
over
were some
there.
young folks. I mean, it wasn't all,
There's people with their
baby
parents
boomers that
and
would have been alive when he was alive. No, there were a bunch of people that were young. There was this one, I felt sorry for this one guy. It was a young couple, not married or not, I'm not probably, and she was very attractive, but her boyfriend, assuming boyfriend, spent the entire time being a Instagram. She's posing in front of every room, every location, and he's taking and she's doing the pose, and he's taking the clips, never with him in them. He was like he was there to be a photographer for clips that she could post on her social media. She was probably under 25, I'm gonna guess, so maybe she was just going, "Hey, let's go to Graceland so I get some Instagram photos so I can post."
I doubt you caught her reading much um, of the information. Yeah, they had a really that you mentioned it. So we had headphones that went into an iPad, and you could follow along as you went through the whole Graceland. And and we and then man, that's only really. I mean, it depends on that's probably 20% of what of everything you can see because there is 4 or 5 different sections of Elvis stuff. You got
The Cars were first.
Cars,
That alone, I mean, I love Cars, and man, some of them are more modified to his
mhm.
standards, and he had some like tricycles, motorcycle tricycles, which I didn't even realize they were a thing back in the '70s. Now they're quite common. A lot of boomers have tricycles. He had 2 or 3 of them. I mean, I didn't realize they had those in the '70s.
Yeah, so then they had like a clothing area, and then the last spot you were taking your time walking through. I think there were all kinds of stuff that related to him or like
Oh, how influence people that he's influenced.
Oh, that was the last one. Before that one.
Before that one.
Before that one,
Well, they had a whole
oh,
section for the Colonel Tom
Colonel.
Parker.
Yeah, what was that?
The Colonel Tom Parker, so some are saying would have Elvis have been who he was without Colonel Tom Parker. In the movie that came out in the last couple of years, Tom Hanks played Colonel
Oh, that
Tom
was his
Parker. That
producer.
was his manager.
Okay.
And many said that he was Machiavellian and dishonest, and that Elvis would have made more money if he took too much money, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of negative, and they did the exhibit of Tom Parker, and he started as a carnival Parker, which the movie portrayed. He was from Denmark. He came to the U.S. He was a stowaway. He got in illegally twice. He lived here for a while, and then they caught him and sent him back, and he came back again as a stowaway. He really wanted to be here, and
you can't get caught, guys.
and he grew up as a carnival promoter, and that's how he treated Elvis. He did a lot of very innovative things, and would Elvis have been famous without Colonel Tom Parker? That's a debate. But the two of them together created the legacy that Elvis is even to this day. And he also had his airplane. He had I think it was he had a B-52. Was that? No, what was that? What's the 747? It looked like a 747.
So nice.
It's 4 engines, so I think it's
It
a
looked more
747.
comfortable than
That was a
what
gorgeous plane. That
Yeah.
looked like, even though it was, as old as 50 years old, it still was like, man, that would be a lot of fun to go. It was just luxurious leather seats and had a conference room and had the bed. Like Seth noticed, he had a seatbelt on the bed, so you could be seated in. And then he had a smaller plane, which was really very, very utilitarian. Didn't have much. It was smaller, but both of them right there on the ground. You could go look at them. And then it had, it was hot, and we didn't even go to the last part. There was him and his movies part. We didn't even go in that part. And then there was a part about his wife, let's see, Priscilla, about her, and then his daughter Lisa Marie. So that was included. We didn't even we ran out of gas, I guess.
Oh yeah, and you were starting to say the last area you're about to, and I was trying to. The Colonel part was the one that I didn't know about. Then there's a whole area of how people are influenced by Elvis.
Right, that one.
And so
right,
they had all their costumes of people that had
how
outfits,
he influenced people. Right,
but
even
not
Kiss.
just outfits, but they talk about it too.
His influence on their life and their musicianship and their artistry. Even Kiss, the uniform for Kiss. You wouldn't think about it, but that they're saying that some of that got influenced by Elvis because of his outfits. His outstanding, is very over the top. And Elton John, for example, Elton John was known as being over the top outfits, and he's influenced by by Elvis. So
yeah, anywhere from like very subtle ways to more extreme ways.
Right.
And yeah, he was, man. I mean, goodness, I wonder who his who dressed him, who came up with these concepts.
Yeah.
I guess that's something
Yeah.
we'll get to.
Yeah, and one takeaway, when you look at his car collection, half of the cars he purchased like 74, 75, 76, and modified. He did not plan to die in 1977.
Yeah.
Did not plan to die. He was living life to his fullest, and of course, he did have a lot of. They said he did the autopsy, he had gout and diabetes, and I don't know if it was his doctor telling him, dude, you need to make some changes. And he had a horrible diet. His diet was some of the worst food he loved to eat. And
he basically did the McDonald's thing, was going to McDonald's every day, equivalent to probably, how maybe the guy was sick or whatever, supposedly, which I heard that was faked or something here recently. I don't know how true that was. But just as far as it's like eating really bad every day, like it can have a wear and tear on your body. Goodness, I would definitely. My biggest issue with packing on some weight was when I stopped working at a restaurant and then went to do an Uber, where I was walking around all the time, and then instantly I'm just sitting in the car trying to pick up people. You didn't have DoorDash and Uber Eats, so I wasn't getting out of the vehicle and running food, which was a nice shakeup from just doing Uber. And sadly, I put on like 30 to 50 pounds in like 6 months.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Just
it
from
really,
The job you need to get is a great job. You don't see any fat. Well, you don't see any grossly overweight FedEx or UPS drivers. They're constantly getting in and out of the truck, making deliveries. A lot of them are incredibly fit because you gotta move a lot. You gotta move all day.
Well, I definitely, once I pull the trigger on getting a vehicle, which you guys know, I've got my vehicle stole last year, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on another vehicle. And I would definitely do some DoorDash and stuff, which you're getting out of the vehicle quite a bit and going to run to get the food rather than I kind of got burned out of the Uber thing because I had some interaction with drunk people, and then it's just so much easier to deliver food because you don't have to worry about people being in your vehicle and having to interact with them, which can be fun. I mean, but it's so much more simpler to deliver.
It's a crapshoot
to deliver food.
I mean,
no crap.
If you do late at night, probably the most money is out from Broadway. But then you got to deal with you're going to have people throw up in your car. You do it long enough and you do enough rides, there's a 100% probability someone's going to throw up in your car.
Oh yeah.
And then cleaning that out, I mean, they get there's a fine that they have to pay. But
it just ruins your night.
But it ruins your night. You have to, and then you got to clean the car. Did it happen to you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it did. Wow.
Got $150, and it was, but it just ruined the night. It was kind of like these kids. I was always really nice to the kids, like on this downtown Fayetteville. Shout out to Razorbacks. I had an SUV, and the limit was 4 people, but I was super cool guy, so I would just let them pile up in my vehicle because I had an SUV, and I'd have as many as 8 kids in there, and I wouldn't care. I'm just, for the most part, I'm just taking them a mile. Like University of Arkansas, everything was within 2 miles of each other. So like I had so many just like short trips. So but after that, I was like, yeah, I'm after that because they tried to hide it from me. One of the kids, he was in the back, so he's got a little bit of and he just easy cleanup. But then it just puts a bad. I was gonna say taste in your mouth. I didn't taste the throw up. I didn't taste the throw up. It just it's like that. You feel invaded. You feel you feel like somebody really coming into my vehicle and then throwing up. It feels gross.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say something like that. Yeah, it feels gross. It feels you feel like your privacy is invaded, to extreme anyway. And it kind of like, I got $150, but it kind of ruins your night though. But 150, this because it was basically $5 cleanup.
So then we also, after the game, the Celtics game on Friday night, which they won, they were lucky to win but surprisingly, the Celtics are favored. Sometimes I wonder how they're going to do that, but they're favored to come out of the East. I'm a Celtics fan, and I believe in them, but boy, they sometimes can play poorly. Anyway, every team can, but they played the Memphis Grizzlies. There's only 15 teams on a roster. And Memphis Grizzlies had 11 players out for injuries or whatever. And so that's not even enough to play a game. That's only 4 left. They had to bring a bunch of players in from the G League, which is the development league, and sign them to 10-day contracts in order to have enough to play the game. And they almost beat the Celtics. They were leading after the third quarter. And I don't know what was wrong with the Celtics, but the Celtics finally won by 5 points. If we're supposed to be that good and be the favorite to come out of the East, we can't just barely beat a G League team. But anyway,
they were not there mentally.
They were there. They checked out or something. Anyway, after that, we went down to Beale Street, and here's the thing: we're honest on this podcast. Memphis does have a reputation for being a little rough in the neighborhoods, and we took a Uber because Seth was wearing his Tatum shoes because he wanted to impress Tatum and hoping that Tatum would autograph them, but he didn't. Of course, we didn't get an interaction, and they don't fit well.
I knew
right?
that probably was going to happen, but yeah, I still.
So we want to we took an Uber to the. So we could have walked, but we took an Uber to the game. Did we walk back? We walked back, didn't we? Yeah, we walked back. So it was walking distance to our hotel. But we get in the Uber, and the guy goes, "Where are you folks from?" Standard conversation starter. "Oh, we're from Nashville." And the guy immediately goes, "And you come to the armpit of Tennessee? Dude, you're supposed to love your city. I mean, you're supposed to talk up your city." It was a surprise that he said that. But that's what he said. And so go down to Beale Street, and I loved it. I love Beale Street. Of course, I'm a blues artist. I play blues, and that's the birthplace of the blues is Memphis. And BB King. BB stands for Beale Street Boy. Beale Street Boy. I guess the street is left out. Otherwise, it'd be BSB, but it's BB King, Beale Street Boy. And so he was, famous on Beale Street. And we went into this club, and the band they're playing covers, blues covers. They're one of the best band I've ever heard. Now playing covers, but the rhythm section, especially the bass player and the drummer, just off. My mouth was agape. I mean, they're just so good. And they're just
none of this. He was ripping that thing up,
and he did it with a groove. He laying down a groove. He and the drummer, they had a groove, and I was just like, man, these guys are amazing. And then by accident, we were able to sit. We were looking for a table, and there was a woman sitting there, and she let us sit at her table, and she was the wife of the lead singer and guitar player. And when they took a break, they came over, and so we're sitting there, and they're all, they're taking a break and having conversations and whatnot. And I gathered that they interchanged back and forth between BB King, which is right across the street, and then I don't remember the name of the place we're in, but it's right across the street from BB
something
King
cafe,
Blues something,
yeah. But just right across.
And what was his name? Not Jerome.
The main guy was
he was filling in. He was filling in because he said that that band normally plays. Their lead guy is a harp player, and he's ill, having some health issues. So the gentleman whose wife's table we sat at was filling in, and he has said he'd already done a whole 3 sets that day over at BB King's, must have been in the afternoon, and he had 1 more set to go, and he said, "Man, I only got 1 more set to go. I'm so exhausted. I can't wait to go home." Anyway, they were just absolutely amazing. And called my buddy Jimmy, who is a phenomenal musician, phenomenal guitar player, has a great ear. And I started telling him about this. He says, "Oh yeah, that's the place. If you want to hear the best blues in the world, go to Memphis." And I never really heard it put that way.
That street, or talking about that
Memphis, and probably that street primarily.
Right.
And then he said, especially the rhythm section. That is where they shine. And I'm like, yeah, I saw that. And I just saw one guy, the bass player, and I shook his hand as we were leaving. And he was kind of surprised. Were you there when I shook his hand? I said, "Man, I love your playing." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Because they were on break. I put a $20 bill in the bucket. They worked a lot for tips. And so we got on Beale Street. It kind of reminded me of Broadway. Broadway's in Nashville. But I sent a text to my friend. This is a joke on me. And I said, it's kind of like Broadway, a little smaller, but with better music and more melatonin. And Seth goes, "Are you sure that word means what you think it means?" And I meant to say melanin, because there's a lot of darker folks there, people of color there, because it's Memphis. And I said melatonin. I sent it to my buddy, and he goes, "I was wondering," and then I corrected it later, and he said, "I was wondering you were trying to say is it great music and it puts you to sleep." So I have a problem confusing melanin and melatonin, apparently. So, but anyway, great night. I got the guy's card. Maybe I'll see him again somewhere. Who knows? Who knows?
It's pretty convenient to get something to him. We might probably go next year.
Yeah. And
it was just it's a 3.5-hour drive. We got a little bit of traffic that slowed us down about 23 minutes.
And the food.
So,
the food. You get the best.
I got some. Tim was already passed out, but I was like really craving some. Wanted to do some barbecue or something, or just some that lady, because all I had was a little bit Oh yeah, I just had a barbecue sandwich at the game. That's all I ate all day. So I had a potato salad and some ribs, and they were excellent. Got those delivered to the hotel, and those were fantastic ribs. Just
Yeah, Memphis is famous for their
oh,
for their barbecue, right? I mean, Memphis
for
is
sure.
yeah. So you want great food, great music, and a scrappy basketball team. Apparently, go to Memphis.
Yeah,
So,
scrappy. Yeah,
they almost beat the Celtics. So
yeah, we had great seats. Really enjoyed the game. We were
yeah,
right behind
the Celtics.
So, right behind the
Celtics. Seth got one of our favorite players to interact with him.
I don't know what he's talking about. Tim's.
So we're the first row, right behind the bench. And Peyton Pritchard, who's one of our favorite players, plays for the Celtics. And he comes off the bench, and he's trying to get a seat, and he was telling the guys, "Move over one," because he wanted to sit, I guess, next to one guy. And Seth starts yelling, "What did you get?"
I said, "Somebody better get up." That's what I said.
And Peyton looked over and glared at Seth.
I don't think he
glared.
He
probably didn't understand what
he probably
Seth was
thought I said something else. I had his back.
He just glared at you. Peyton, if you're watching, we love you. We love you.
That's more funny than not being interacted with, I guess. And I'm not one of those annoying people. Oh, I was so annoyed. One of the first times I went, it was one of the 2 times I went to a Heat game. And it was 30 minutes before the game, and these they weren't even kids. They were like in their 30s, and they were just yelling at the players over and over, trying to get their attention. Like, after you yell it a couple times, you can tell that they're not going to interact with you. It just drove me crazy that they were just yelling at the players, and they were just trying to practice. I was like, "Oh, annoy me hearing my name yelled over and over," and I'm trying to practice. But I love their commitment to just completely ignore them.
You know what? I remember the name of the guy, Jason Foray, the lead guy who sang and played guitar. I remember his name, Jason Foray. Shout out to Jason. I didn't even tell him that I played blues music. I just sat there like a fan and enjoyed their music. Jason was the one his wife let us sit there. So. And then the bass player that I was so excited about was Cecile Daniel from Memphis. Those are names I remember.
So yeah, if you didn't have at least $20 in your bucket the other night, someone's stole money out of your bucket.
Great band. But I guess the band was technically the guy, and I don't remember his name, but he's normally plays harp, and they're normally backing him. But Jason came in to fill in because they had the gig and they had to perform the gig. But they were talking about the fact that they go back and forth. Apparently, Jason said this is not his band, but one of the members of his band, I inferred from the conversation, came by to say hello. And we're right in the middle there, because we're sitting at the table, like we're in the inside group. We're in the huddle. We're in the huddle of the group, just because his wife allowed us to sit there, which was pretty cool. Cool experience.
And does anybody know why a group of girls would dress up in cow outfits? I guess I should have asked them. I made them laugh.
Like an inflatable, inflatable, look like Holstein cows.
Yeah, there were the silly outfits. Basically nowadays there's a sexy version of a costume. There's probably some sexy cow outfit, and then there's
this was
inflatable
not sexy.
version.
Yeah, it was inflatable. They were just having fun.
Yeah,
one of them Seth made them laugh. What did you say to them?
I said I was like, I feel like it's okay to call you a heifer or something like that. Like
they loved it.
They loved it. And I went on with them for a little bit, but they were all dressed up as cows. I was like, "You're dressed up as cows." I was like, "Girls don't like to be called cows, but I feel inclined to call you heifers." I was like, funny part is
they loved it.
Thankfully, they knew what heifers was, because heifers isn't the more common.
Probably, yeah. People who don't grow up in agriculture probably don't know what a heifer is. Yeah. Don't know that that's a female cow that hasn't had given birth. That's a heifer. It's a female cow, adult cow, or maybe teenage cow in human terms, that hasn't given birth.
I think it was a bridesmaid funny thing they were doing, because one of them I think was in pink.
I think it was a bridesmaid.
Like
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't look as crazy when there's like several of you. Like, when there's 5 or 6 people dressed up, I'm wondering, like, should I have a cow costume on? Where's my cow costume?
Yeah, anyway, I love the vibe down on Beale Street. It's not very it was only like 2 blocks or so of things
Yeah,
versus Broadway is like,
smaller than
much smaller than Broadway.
Bourbon and Broadway.
But better
Kinda
music,
like
better music.
combination
I
of
mean,
the
okay,
2.
there's good music down on Broadway, but I love blues and soul.
You are a
Or the,
big blues person, yeah.
so I mean, the
Well, yeah,
music
you've never
was
been a big
amazing.
country person, which is
Yeah.
there's a combination of not just country too, but blues is. I mean, yeah, if you were to hear blues, you go to Memphis. I mean, that's
And then there's also New Orleans blues. I mean, New Orleans has their own, version, jazz, blues. So New Orleans is a style of blues as well. So, there's different
Would you
types.
say
So there's
more
Texas
jazz,
blues.
more
Yeah,
jazz in New
probably,
Orleans?
yeah, and then definitely with the gospel, "Oh, the saints go marching in," a little bit different beat to it. "When the saints go marching in." And then
So
you got
yeah,
Kansas City. Kansas City was a big focal point, of music back in the day, Kansas City, Texas blues, Stevie Ray Vaughan, definitely Texas blues, and, also, Freddie King. Freddie King was from Texas, and now B.B. King was born in Mississippi, but he made his name in Memphis. And then you got Elbert King. Where was Elbert King from? Three Kings, you know? Anyway, the band did one of my favorite songs by Freddie King. It's called Big-Legged Woman. She's a big-legged woman with a short, short mini skirt. You probably couldn't write that song today. You'd, be not, Freddie King. Big-legged woman.
So, yeah, we had a good weekend.
And I got it. Did we talk about Stax Records?
No, you did not.
So,
So Stax
next trip, I wanna go to Stax Records because I'm a huge fan of all the Stax stuff. So many great records came out of there. Sitting on the dock of the bay, was a good get out of Stax Records, Staple Singers, I'll Take You There, Isaac Hayes. I mean, for about 10 years or so, from probably 65 to 75, Stax ruled. Uh, Knock on Wood by was it Eddie Floyd? What else? So many big hits. Sam and Dave, Soul Man, the original version was from Stax Records. Um, anyhow, so Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions, most of you would probably recognize an instrumental. They were the backup band. Steve Cropper and Doc Dunn were the Steve Cropper was a guitar player and Doc Dunn was the bass player, and Booker T was the keyboard player, and I'd forgotten the name of the drummer. Shame on me. But anyhow, that was at Stax Records, and the building was in a former movie theater. And movie theaters have sloped floors, so the people in the back can see. And the people in front are sitting lower. That's how they build movie theaters. And of course, they'd taken all the seats out, and they were using that. And because of that unique, it's rare to have a building with a sloped floor. It gave it a very unique acoustic sound, and so people could recognize that as the Stax sound, actually. And not only the musicians were amazing, of course, but the studio added to the cachet of the Stax sound, and Stax meaning STAX. And we drove by the sign for the Stax Museum, and I was wondering if that is still something to see, and I looked it up, and the building itself was torn down, went into disrepair, and the '80s was tore down, but somebody had the foresight and probably got some public money and, bought the land that it was on, and in the '90s painstakingly reconstructed is to the nth degree, to the same as the original building, a recreation, exact dimensions, etcetera, of the original Stax studio, and now it's a museum and a you can go in there and there's all kinds of, I mean, Isaac Hayes' gold-plated Cadillac is there, and it's a whole nother music-related attraction. We love music, and I love Stax music, all the stuff that came out of there. And so that's another place I want to go. And then I think Sun Records, where Elvis recorded, of course, his first songs, and he was recorded at Sun Records until Colonel Tom Parker got him out of Sun Records and got him signed with a bigger label. Now I've forgotten which one it was. Was it Warner? And he had to do some hard punching to get that done. He had to do a little bit of fibbing to get it done, but he got it done. He got him out of Sun Records, and Sam Phillips was the guy in Sun Records, and so uh, great history of music there. And then Muscle Shoals, and Muscle Shoals Studio is still operational. Muscle Shoals in Alabama was referenced in Sweet Home Alabama. They referenced Muscle Shoals, and I want to go there. I mean, that's a working studio. I don't even know if they have a museum kind of thing there. I also want to go to Motown in Detroit. I'm hoping that there's a studio there that I want to see these iconic places music was created. Another one in the 70s, the Philadelphia Sound.
Sounds like you have a busy year, Tim.
I might have a busy year.
Well, let me get those things scheduled for you, Tim. All right. One day.
Anyway, these glasses just instantly bring out another voice out of me. Oh yeah, this is with the wig. I wore that. Oh, that horrible.
Sid.
I think was that Sid?
You stole Sid's glasses.
Sid's glasses. Yeah, Sid. I think,
or was it Sid?
Sid. No, I think it was Sid. It was Sid was one of them. I just did, but then the rock and roll guy character I did. Yeah, Tim has to remember all these names for me because I'm so bad with names.
Rockstar Rick.
Rockstar Rick. That's the best one. I got to do.
Can you go into Rockstar Rick now?
I think I need the costume to do it. I probably could instantly do it as soon as I put on the costume. That whole get up, the sleeves and everything, that's a fun one. That's a fun one.
You did a great job.
That was fun. I got
funny.
Every time I think about it, I was like, oh, I should put it on. I was like, oh, we're out of time. Of course, we start so early. I guess I could have put it. I could have went on.
Wait until one day it'll be amusing. Seth Ohms. Here is the actual costume that he used to do Rockstar Rick. Here are the actual glasses he used to do Sid. He used those glasses later for another character because he forgot the name of Sid, so he called him something else. But he's going to have it in a display for Sid because that was the original name of the character until he forgot who it was.
Well, one character I can't well is Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris passed away.
I know it.
Sunday,
That's so sad.
Very iconic. I grew up in the '90s, and he was back then. What Texas Ranger was really big, and that show was super popular. It did. I think he did 5-6 seasons.
Oh, here's a comment that theories on Lane Staley. Lane Staley, that is.
But he lived to be 89 years old, full life. He was well versed in a number of martial arts, and even I guess I was was watching a thing on him. He even somewhat had his own martial art that he invented some moves and stuff and created his own martial art to there. I don't know how much he did that, but I guess he got bored of all the other martial arts, or he made his own. But he did a number of movies. He even in fact, I kind of like I should watch one of his movies, but he did at least one, if not more, movies with the greatest of all time. I was about going to say Jet Li, but who's the martial artist from the 70s? What is it mostly?
Bruce.
Yes.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. He did at least one movie with Bruce Lee, and but he was definitely well well skilled, and a lot of cool action. And I like those kind of action movies. Those are a lot of fun. But I haven't seen most of his movies. I watched the Texas Ranger kind of thing. But then what was funny was on Conan O'Brien's show, The Tonight Show, they ended up acquiring. They had the rights. What he was on. What he was on CBS. No, NBC. He was on his show was on NBC, and they had a company had merged with them that had owned Texas Ranger. So he had this pool next to him. So for the fun of it, because they had the rights to it, they could show clips from Texas Ranger. So he had a lever that he would randomly pull at times, and they would cut to clips, usually action clips, sometimes random clips with no context of Chuck Norris, which was so funny because I think this is after it wasn't on TV anymore. But that was a funny bit. But probably the funniest bit out there is just somebody. I think it started with somebody writing a book, and then there's memes all over. Chuck Norris had a whole extension of his popularity just because of all the
the memes,
a snake curled up next to him and he bit him and after 30 minutes the snake died from Chuck Norris's bite, or silly stuff like that. All kinds of and there's literally a book. There's a book. I think that's what it started with. Somebody did a book of a bunch of these things back in like the 2000s. But he was a great guy. He lived to be 89. Was stayed well in shape. I saw a picture of him at 85 on here, and even at 85, he was looking really good. And
so, what did he die of? Did they say?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably most. Good question.
Old age.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
So we had a comment on our Instagram about Lane Staley, and I'm not 100% sure what the comment regains, but it says theories on Lane Staley ? Of course, Lane Staley was the lead singer for Alice in Chains, and also he did a supergroup project with Mad Season, and died at 34 of a drug overdose. And he dealt with depression and heroin addiction, other issues most of his adult life. Definitely iconic vocalist, incredible vocalist. I mean, his vocal lines that he would write, that he would sing, were instantly identifiable. And he just had a very unique, I've never analyzed what vocal lines he was singing, but I mean, as far as note, what notes they were, what the melody line was, but they were so unique and powerful. So I'm not 100% sure what the question is. Theories on Lane Staley, what caused his death? I mean, it was drug overdose, speedball overdose when he was 34, and he just struggled with drug addiction. He was in rehab a number of times, I believe. And it was just a tragedy to lose him that young. And I wasn't a huge fan of his stuff, but some friends of mine at church, actually, the guys I played in the worship band with, introduced me to him and made some mixtapes for me. And I listened to that repetitively while I was driving back and forth. I had a long commute from Sioux Falls to Willow Lake and back and forth when I was living in Sioux Falls, but working in Willow Lake is a 2-hour drive. I would go on the weekends back home and stay in Willow Lake. Anyway, so I listened to an awful lot of Alice in Chains, and very sad loss. I mean, drugs is very difficult for taking some great artists. Depression often comes with great creativity, or creative people are often highly depressed. I don't know what the correlation there is, but why that is. But a lot of depressed people, a lot of very creative people struggle with depression, and that's very sad to have lost him. Just wanted to recognize the comment about Lane Staley. I'm not sure if I covered what he was referring to, or that.
And Chuck Norris was 86, not.
I didn't think it was 89. Actually,
86.
I was.
I don't know how.
My
sixes and nines get a little messed up. Maybe it was upside down.
Well, how many minutes have we been going here, buddy?
No, yeah, it's about that time. We're about an hour.
We have got. We've been going for an hour. Yeah, an hour and 23 seconds, 24 seconds, 25 seconds.
Just keep them going up, and I'll wrap this up.
Do you remember? Wasn't it the Mr. Beast that counted from 1 to 100,000? Made a video that
yeah, he did. So he tried a little bit of everything at the beginning.
Why would anybody watch a video of somebody counting from 1 to 100,000? I mean, and that went viral. Now he's the number one. He's number one, right, on YouTube, most subscribers and all that, right?
Yeah, I think he might be only. Well, no, I think he's literally the top. I mean, he was beat by a company.
There was a company, Sweden. No, they beat PewDiePie. They beat PewDiePie.
And then, he's just destroyed everybody. He's definitely, he's the biggest by far. And he just did a second season of Beast Games, and that was amazing. They gave away 5 million. The first season they gave away 10 million because they flipped a coin. Somebody flipped a coin.
Yes.
And that coin was in play.
That.
And he bought it for was it how much? 250 or $500,000. He bought it off so he wouldn't have to lose 5 million. Where he was at that point too, that 5 million came out of his own money too, because he was over budget for the show. He put his company money into.
Yeah, I watched that with you. Yeah, that was fascinating. The guy
break down.
The coin. He either got nothing or he doubled it to 10, right?
And I think if it's either he flips the coin, and if he doesn't get it right, he even not only do they not get the 10 million, but he's out.
Right. That's what I just said. Yeah.
Oh, is that what you said? Yeah. This is so funny how often this happens. We say the same thing and we just duplicate. Or the funny part is we'll start like, no, we'll have it. We'll start turning into a little bit of argument, and then we realize we're just saying the same thing.
Help us.
We're completely agreeing. And we have a podcast together for entertainment, and that's what we do. But yeah, Chuck Norris, rest in peace.
Yes, sir.
And you're doing karate with God now, I guess. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he became a Christian back in the 90s. I think when he was doing I remember hearing about that.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Back when he was doing
I mean, having confidence in where he's at in his own faith.
Yeah, he was pretty
that is
about it back then.
saved by faith in Jesus Christ.
I think he did one of the Expendable movies too. Which was really cool. I think that's the last thing he's really done movie wise. He had a little cameo in the Expendables, which is just basically just a bunch of 90 stars coming back and doing movies they did 4 of them.
Oh, is that the ones with Sylvester Stallone and all those folks? Yeah.
Which is just hilarious. He basically just calls up all his buddies like, "Hey, you're not using a walker yet, are you?"
Schwarzenegger, all those guys.
Oh yeah,
Expendables. I'm sorry, when you said that, it made me think of that line of snacks from not Logan Paul. What's his?
Prime.
No, not drink. He was eating it on his show when they sold the Pokemon deal. It's something Bulls.
It's the one he has with Mr. Beast.
What's it called?
The snack thing.
Snackables. No.
Snackables.
No?
Something.
Expendable. It's made me think of.
Yeah. Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. Snack. Feastables.
Yeah. Feastable. Expendable.
Expendables. Feastables. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
All the bulls.
Yeah. They were trying to make a nicer version of which. Hey, I was a big fan of that back in the day. Making a little pizza. It was like, for some reason, Raw pizza worked. We had this little bread, round bread thing, and then you got this sauce. You have the three round pizza things, and then you put your own sauce on it. You put the cheese, and then you put pepperoni, and I guess pepperonis are already cooked anyways. But I mean, so basically, and you have a way to cook it. You ate like that, and it tastes good. It tastes good. It's crazy, but loved it. Loved it.
No, you have such an expressive face.
No.
All right, let's
Pull
this one home.
Let's put this one out of its misery. Guys, appreciate you watching the podcast, listening to the podcast, Spotify, Apple, and for most of you watching it on Facebook, appreciate that. Tell your friends about it. Share it share it there on Facebook. And tell your friends about it, and hopefully it entertained you, made you laugh, made you wonder, what are they talking about? I'm going to Google that.
And coincidentally, without planning, we both are representing No Sugar, No Cream merch. And if you would like to represent No Sugar, No Cream, and if you like our podcast and you want merch, we have it at thewolfcreek.com.
Is at the wolfcreek.com.
Okay. Thewolfcreek.com. WOLFCREEK.com.
Be our number one fan. We will send us a picture of it.
Yeah, we'll post it. We'll post it on our page, No Sugar, No Cream, Facebook page.
Guys, we love you very much, and we appreciate you watching the podcast. We will see you next time.